Have you ever met someone whose love wasn't loud, but you could feel it, steady, calm, and undeniable? The kind of man who doesn't say much, but somehow his presence tells you everything you need to know. That quiet type of love is rare, and yet it's often the most real. It doesn't come wrapped in constant words or grand declarations. It comes in consistency, in effort, in silence that feels safe. Love for many men isn't something they easily put into words. Society teaches them to stay strong, to hold back emotions, to never appear too vulnerable. But the truth is, men feel deeply. They just express it differently. Their love hides in the way they protect, the way they remember, the way they show up even when they can't find the words to explain why. It's not that they don't care, it's that their heart speaks a quieter language. If you've ever been with a man like that, you know what it feels like. His love doesn't flood you with constant attention or romantic speeches. Instead, it shows up in the steady way he's there when it matters most. In how he notices when you're quiet, in the way he looks at you when he thinks you're not watching. His love lives in the details, in gestures, in glances, in patience. And though it might not be obvious at first, it's the kind of love that stays long after words fade. Psychologists say that men often experience affection through action, rather than verbal expression. When a man deeply cares, he demonstrates it through protection, service, and attentiveness. His nervous system links emotional safety with doing, not talking. So while his lips may stay silent, his behavior tells a story louder than any love poem ever could. This kind of love isn't dramatic, it's dependable. It doesn't demand attention, it offers comfort. It doesn't say, "I love you," every day, but it shows it in 100 quiet ways. In how he checks on you, remembers your favorites, listens without judgment, or simply sits beside you in silence, because being near you feels enough. But here's what makes it beautiful: the subtlety, the mystery, the unspoken connection between two hearts that don't need words to understand each other. Because when love is real, it doesn't need to shout. It whispers in actions, in glances, and in presence. In this video, we'll uncover 10 deep signs that he loves you more than he shows. Signs hidden beneath his calm demeanor, quiet gestures, and protective instincts. Once you recognize them, you'll see that his silence isn't a lack of love. It's a deeper kind of devotion. Because sometimes, the truest love isn't the one that talks the most. It's the one that shows you without saying a single word. Sign 1. His eyes speak. What his lips can't. They say the eyes are the windows to the soul. And when a man truly loves you, his eyes reveal everything his words can't bring themselves to say. You'll notice it in the quiet moments, when conversation fades, and the world slows down just enough for a single glance to feel like a confession. His gaze lingers, not in lust, but in awe, like he's memorizing your presence, storing pieces of you he can't bear to lose. When he looks at you, it's not the same as when he looks at anyone else. There's softness, curiosity, and something unspoken that sits between you both. Something electric. He may try to hide it, to shift his eyes away quickly, but that brief connection holds more truth than 1,000 words ever could. That's the thing about real love. It doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it hides in a quiet, trembling glance. Psychologists call this prolonged eye contact, a non-verbal signal deeply tied to emotional intimacy. When someone feels emotionally connected, their brain releases oxytocin, the same hormone that builds trust and attachment. This chemical reaction literally makes eye contact feel warm, safe, and magnetic. It's why, when your eyes meet his, it doesn't feel casual. It feels like a silent dialogue between two hearts trying to speak the same language. His eyes might follow you in a crowded room without him realizing it. They might soften when you laugh, or glow when you enter the room. He might look away the moment you catch him staring, not out of disinterest, but because vulnerability scares him more than anything else. Love makes even the strongest men hesitate. It strips away their composure. and reveals the childlike tenderness they hide from the world. So if you've ever caught him watching you when he thought you weren't looking, understand this. His eyes were saying everything his heart was too guarded to admit. That silent pull, that wordless warmth, that moment of stillness between two glances. That's love trying to speak without permission. In a world full of words and noise, sometimes the purest truths are spoken in silence. And if his eyes have ever told you a story that made your heart race, believe them, because eyes never lie. They only reveal what the soul has been whispering all along. Sign 2. He listens. Even when you don't speak, love isn't always about grand gestures or perfect words. Sometimes it's about the quiet understanding that passes between two souls without sound. When a man truly loves you, he doesn't just listen to what you say. He listens to what you don't say. He notices the pauses between your sentences, the shift in your tone, the slight change in your expression. To him, your silence speaks louder than any confession ever could. You'll see it when you're tired but trying to hide it. He'll ask, "Are you okay?" even before you realize something's wrong. You might brush it off, but deep down, you'll know he saw you. He noticed the tiny details that most people miss. That's not luck. That's emotional awareness born out of genuine care. When a man is truly connected to you, he becomes attuned to your emotional energy. He listens not just with his ears, but with his heart. Psychologists call this empathetic attunement, the ability to sense and respond to another person's emotions intuitively. It's a rare form of listening that requires emotional intelligence, patience, and love. Men who feel deeply for someone often develop this heightened sensitivity. They can feel your happiness, your anxiety, your sadness, even when you don't put it into words. It's like his heart is tuned to your frequency. He might not always have the perfect advice, and he might not always know what to say, but he'll stay there, quietly present, listening with full attention. No distractions, no interruptions, just presence. Because for him, being there when you're silent is more important than filling the silence with meaningless words, and that's the beauty of it. When he truly loves you, he doesn't need constant explanations. A sigh, a look, a quiet moment. He gets it. He feels it. He listens to the emotion behind your words and the stories your silence tells. So the next time you find yourself sitting beside him, saying nothing, but feeling completely understood, remember this: that's not ordinary listening. That's love. The kind that doesn't demand sound, doesn't rush for answers, and doesn't fade when words run out. Because sometimes the truest love speaks only in silence, and he's already heard every word your heart whispered. Sign 3. His actions protect you. Quietly. Love isn't always loud. Sometimes it moves in silence, in the quiet things a man does when he truly cares. When a man loves you deeply, his actions begin to form a shield around you. He might not announce, "I'll protect you," but you'll feel it. In the way he checks that you got home safely, walks on the side of the street closest to traffic, or steps in when someone talks to you disrespectfully. It's not control, it's instinct. His love expresses itself through quiet protection. You'll notice it in the little gestures, the coat he offers when it's cold, the message he sends when you're late, the way he pays attention to your surroundings without making it obvious. To him, your safety, comfort, and peace of mind come first. It's not about being a hero. It's about making sure you feel safe, seen, and cared for in every situation. That's what real affection looks like: steady, consistent, unspoken. Psychologists call this protective affection, a natural behavioral response that appears when emotional bonding and attachment deepen. When a man is emotionally invested, his brain triggers the release of dopamine and oxytocin, chemicals that heighten empathy and protectiveness. He doesn't protect you because he thinks you're weak. He does it because your well-being has become part of his own emotional stability. Your comfort matters to him as much as his own. But here's what makes this kind of love truly special. It's never forced. He doesn't try to prove he's strong. Instead, he shows up in ways that build quiet trust. He'll stand up for you without making a scene, support you when no one else does, and remind you that you're not alone, all without needing credit. This kind of protection is not about dominance, it's about devotion. So if you ever find him quietly adjusting to make your world a little easier, carrying your things without being asked, checking the door before bed, or simply watching over you with a calm awareness, recognize it for what it is. That's love in action, the kind that doesn't need words or grand gestures to prove itself. Because when a man truly loves you, he doesn't just promise to protect you, he already does. Silently, consistently, completely. Sign 4. He remembers the smallest details. About you, when a man truly loves you, he doesn't just hear your words, he absorbs them. Every detail you share, no matter how small, finds a home in his memory. He remembers how you take your coffee, the story behind your favorite song, or the way you wrinkle your nose when something confuses you. To others, these things may seem insignificant. To him, they're treasures, tiny pieces of who you are that he keeps close. Because they matter to him, you'll notice it in the moments that catch you off guard. When he recalls something you mentioned weeks ago in passing, or surprises you with your favorite snack on a tough day. He remembers not to impress you, but because he genuinely cares. When he listens, he's not waiting for his turn to speak. He's collecting fragments of you, your habits, preferences, stories, and emotions, weaving them into the quiet rhythm of his affection. Psychologists refer to this as selective attention in emotional bonding. When someone is emotionally invested, their brain prioritizes information about the person they love. The dopamine system, the same one linked to pleasure and motivation, becomes more active when that person is around. This makes their mind automatically store details connected to you. In simple terms, love sharpens memory. When he recalls those little things, it's his subconscious way of saying, "You matter to me more than anyone else." He might remember your birthday, but he'll also remember the exact shade of your favorite color, or the song you hum while cooking. He'll notice how your mood shifts when you're overwhelmed, and he'll quietly do something to ease it. His love hides in those subtle acts, the thoughtfulness that doesn't seek attention or praise. Because for him, remembering is not effort, it's instinct. So if you ever wonder how deeply he feels, pay attention to what he remembers. The man who recalls the smallest details, the things you forgot you even said, is showing you something profound. He's not collecting facts, he's collecting you. That's how real love operates. Not in loud declarations, but in quiet recognition. Because when someone holds on to the smallest pieces of you, it's their heart's way of saying, "I see you, I remember you, you matter." Sign 5. His body reacts around you. Without control, love has a way of showing itself, even when the person feeling it tries to hide it. When a man truly loves you, his body betrays him long before his words ever do. He might seem calm, collected, and confident, but when you're near, his body gives away what his heart is desperately trying to contain. You might notice his breath change slightly when you walk into the room. It catches for just a second. His posture straightens, his shoulders square up, or he adjusts his shirt as if subconsciously wanting to look his best. When he talks to you, he might fidget with something in his hands, rub the back of his neck, or shift his weight nervously. These small, seemingly meaningless gestures are his body's way of releasing emotional tension. Psychologists call this physiological arousal. It's a natural reaction when someone we're emotionally drawn to is nearby. The brain releases chemicals like adrenaline and dopamine, increasing heart rate, alertness, and energy. That's why he seems more alive around you. His nervous system is literally responding to love. His pupils may dilate, his voice may lower, and he might lean closer without realizing it. These are instinctive signs of attraction and emotional vulnerability. He may even mirror your movements, crossing his legs when you do, leaning in when you speak, or matching your tone without thinking. Psychologists call this subconscious mirroring, a powerful indicator of emotional alignment and connection. It's the body's way of saying, "I'm in sync with you." Sometimes his reactions are even more subtle. He might glance at you from across the room more often than he should, or smile at something you said hours later as if replaying it in his mind. These are physical echoes of affection, silent gestures that reveal how deeply he feels. The truth is, Our bodies are honest. They don't know how to lie. While the mind may suppress words, the body reveals emotions in every heartbeat, every glance, every nervous laugh. So, if you ever notice that his hands tremble slightly, his voice softens when he says your name, or he can't quite stop smiling around you, don't ignore it. That's love trying to speak through the only language it can't control, the body. And in those unguarded moments, you'll see the truth his words are too shy to admit. Sign 6. He checks on you without making it obvious. When a man truly cares for you, his concern doesn't need an announcement. It shows up quietly, in subtle ways that most people overlook. He may never flood your phone with constant messages or demand to know where you are, but you'll notice how he always seems to appear when you need someone most. That's not coincidence. It's care disguised as coincidence. He'll check your stories, reply to your posts with something simple, or text you casually. Did you eat? Or got home safe? It might seem small, but behind those words is a quiet voice saying, I was thinking about you. His love doesn't come with noise or control. It comes with steady awareness. He just wants to make sure you're okay. Not because he doubts your strength, but because your peace of mind has become part of his. Psychologists describe this as protective monitoring, a subconscious form of emotional care that appears when someone feels a deep attachment. When a man forms a strong emotional bond, his brain's empathy centers become more active. He starts to notice patterns in your behavior. When you're distant, when you're low, when you're trying to pretend everything's fine. He can sense when something's off, even if you never say a word. That awareness isn't obsession, it's connection. He doesn't make it obvious because he respects your space. He doesn't hover or demand answers. Instead, he checks in softly, maybe through a friend, a random text, or by being present in small ways. You might find that he shows up when you've had a hard day or messages you right when you were about to reach out. That's his intuition, the kind that love sharpens. His care isn't loud, but it's consistent. He'll remember the time of your flight, the day of your presentation, or the moment you said you weren't feeling well. And he'll follow up, not for validation, but out of genuine worry. So, if he's the kind of man who checks on you without demanding your attention, understand this, that's not indifference. That's deep affection, wrapped in respect. Because when a man loves you truly, he doesn't need to control your world. He just quietly makes sure you're safe in it. Sign 7. He puts your happiness before his own. When a man truly loves you, his happiness becomes intertwined with yours. He finds joy in seeing you smile, peace in knowing you're safe, and pride in being the reason you feel cared for. This isn't about losing himself or being selfless to a fault. It's about love in its purest form, the kind that values your well-being as deeply as his own. You'll notice it in the way he makes small sacrifices without ever mentioning them. He'll give up his comfort so you can have yours. Maybe he stays up late to make sure you got home, gives you the last slice even though he's still hungry, or listens patiently when he's exhausted because he knows you need to talk. These aren't random acts. They're reflections of a heart that prioritizes your peace over his pride. Psychologists call this kind of behavior altruistic love. It's a form of affection that activates empathy and compassion in the brain, particularly the regions associated with emotional bonding and trust. When a man reaches this level of connection, his actions are guided not by obligation, but by instinct. He wants you to be happy, even if it costs him comfort or convenience. True love rewires his emotional priorities. Your happiness becomes his measure of success. He won't always say, I did this for you. In fact, he rarely will. His care hides in the unnoticed gestures, the plans he changes so he can be there for you, the patience he shows when you're upset, the way he holds back words that might hurt you even when he's frustrated. Love makes him careful, not cautious, but considerate. This doesn't mean he neglects himself. It means he naturally leans toward protecting your joy, because when you're hurting, he feels it too. Your sadness unsettles him, your laughter relaxes him, and your happiness lights him up in ways he can't explain. So, if you ever wonder how deeply he cares, look at the moments when he puts you first without saying a word. That's not weakness, that's devotion. A man who loves you this way isn't trying to be perfect. He's simply choosing you again and again, in 1,000 quiet ways. And that's how real love speaks. Not through grand gestures, but through gentle sacrifices made silently from the heart. Sign 8. He opens up emotionally, but retreats fast. When a man begins to love you deeply, one of the first battles he faces isn't with you, it's within himself. He wants to open up, to show you the parts of his soul he keeps hidden from everyone else, but the very act of doing so terrifies him, so he lets you in slowly. A glimpse here, a story there. Then suddenly, he retreats. It's confusing, but it's not rejection. It's fear wrapped in vulnerability. You'll notice it in how he talks about his past, his dreams, or his insecurities. For a moment, he's open, raw, real, human. You feel the connection deepen, and just when you think he's letting you all the way in, he changes the subject, cracks a joke, or goes quiet. It's not because he's lost interest. It's because being seen that deeply feels risky to him. Psychologists call this the approach-avoidance conflict. It's a natural emotional response where someone simultaneously craves intimacy and fears it. When a man has been hurt, betrayed, or taught to suppress emotion, love can feel both healing and dangerous. Opening up triggers a flood of vulnerability, and his instinct is to protect himself, not from you, but from the pain he once knew too well. His retreat isn't a sign that he doesn't care. In fact, it's often proof that he cares more than he can manage. He might text less, act distant, or need space right after a deep moment. Not because his feelings faded, but because they grew stronger than he expected. He's recalibrating, trying to find the balance between closeness and safety. If you're patient, you'll notice a pattern. Every time he pulls away, he eventually returns, a little more open than before. That's love learning to trust. He's not running from you. He's learning how to stay. So when he shares something personal and then retreats, don't chase or demand. Just hold the space quietly. Show him, through your calmness, that his emotions are safe with you. Because for a man who's used to silence, your understanding is the one thing that teaches him it's okay to speak. And when he finally learns that love doesn't always end in pain, he won't retreat anymore. He'll stay, open-hearted, because you gave him something stronger than fear, the courage to be himself. Sign 9. He feels at peace. When you're near, when a man truly loves you, something in him softens when you're around. The tension in his shoulders eases, his tone becomes calmer, and the restlessness that follows him through the world fades. Even if he never says it out loud, it's not just comfort, it's peace. The kind that only comes when the soul recognizes safety. You'll notice it in subtle ways. Maybe his words slow down when you talk, or he laughs more freely, without the guarded edge he shows the rest of the world. Around you, he doesn't feel the need to prove anything. He can simply be. That's one of the purest forms of love, when presence alone becomes a refuge. Psychologists describe this feeling as emotional regulation through attachment. Siag. When two people form a secure emotional bond, their nervous systems begin to synchronize. The brain releases oxytocin, the hormone responsible for trust, comfort, and connection. This biological response literally calms the body. That's why when he's near you, his heart rate slows, his anxiety eases, and his energy shifts. You become his emotional home. A place where he feels grounded, accepted, and understood. He may not be poetic enough to express it, but you'll see it in the way he exhales when you sit beside him, in the quiet smile that appears when you hold his hand, or in how he unconsciously leans toward you when he's tired. You don't have to fix his problems or fill the silence. Your presence alone soothes something deep within him. What's beautiful about this kind of peace is that it's mutual. When love is real, it balances both hearts. He gives you strength without realizing it, and you give him calm without trying. That's the magic of connection. Two energies finding harmony in a world that often feels too loud. So if you've ever wondered whether he feels something deep for you, pay attention to the moments when he's quiet, relaxed, or smiling softly for no reason. That stillness isn't emptiness, it's peace. Because when a man's heart feels safe, his soul settles. And if he finds that peace only when he's near you, then know this: you're not just someone he loves. You're someone who makes his world feel still, steady, and whole. Sign 10. He loves you. More in silence than in words. Love doesn't always shout its name. Sometimes it whispers. When a man truly loves you, you'll feel it not through endless promises or poetic words, but through the quiet things he does when no one's watching. His love speaks in presence, not performance. It's in the way he listens, the way he shows up, the way he stays, even when he doesn't say a thing. You'll notice his silence feels different. It's not cold or distant. It's calm, full, and comforting. When you're together, he doesn't need to fill every moment with words because his energy already says everything. A simple glance, a shared smile, a gentle touch on your shoulder. Those are his unspoken, I love yous. Words may fail him, but his actions never do. Psychologists call this kind of connection non-verbal emotional communication. When two people share a strong bond, their relationship moves beyond verbal language. Their brains and hearts begin to synchronize, creating what's known as emotional resonance. It's why silence between you two doesn't feel empty. It feels peaceful, like your hearts are speaking in a language only they understand. He might not say, I miss you, but he'll find a way to check in. He might not say, I care, but he'll remember something important and show up when it matters most. His love exists in consistency, not confession. Every quiet favor, every thoughtful gesture, every moment he chooses patience over pride. Those are the ways he says what words can't capture. Many men struggle with expressing emotion verbally, not because they don't feel, but because they feel too much. For him, love is something sacred, something he shows through reliability, protection, and effort. He believes love should be lived, not just spoken. So if his silence confuses you, listen with your heart instead of your ears. Notice how he looks at you when you're not watching. Feel the calm that settles between you when you're together. That's where his love lives. Quiet, steady, unspoken. Because real love doesn't always need language. It's in the silence that feels safe, the presence that feels warm, and the moments that don't need words to mean everything. When he loves you in silence, it's because that's where truth feels most pure, deep, gentle, and endlessly real.